Previously on the Jay and Dan podcast.
The next time you're at a Vegas pool party and you're feeling a little parched, just take a swig of what you're swimming in.
If Youpie had a homeless brother.
Right. Who'd grown out all of his fur.
And who's tweaked out.
Total meth head. Wandering the streets of Philly. Giving jobs to other mascots for $15.
TSN builds an employee apartment building.
Yeah.
And then...
all the that's going to go on in there.
That's the thing. You have your own reality show.
Oh, man, that would be bonkers. Who bangs first? Well, Toronto's own through Regina.
Via Regina.
That's right.
We all come via Regina.
Stadium seating of men, just like... I just went to adjust my glasses, and I don't wear glasses.
I just went to put in my catheter, and I don't need one.
You're listening to the Jay and Dan podcast, presented by our good friends at Coors Light.
Deliver it to the D-Bar.
Send it to the D-Bar in... Dots.
Dancy time. What's the week? It's October 1st?
Holy, where's the time gone? Where's summer gone, Dan? We just saw Guy, our producer from the Olympics in Korea. He also took the kids out east like you did this past summer, but when you asked him if he ate a lot of seafood out in Atlantic, Canada, what was his response?
I don't like seafood. I remember him
I remember that now in Korea, all this delicious seafood there, and he wasn't into it. He wasn't having it. He's the guy who carried Koreans across the street, the big muscular guy.
That's right. He's very burly. You asked him, he's working on Tokyo, you said?
Yeah, he's busy working. We can officially confirm that we will be going to Tokyo 2020 to continue our fine coverage of the Olympics, this time the summer version in Tokyo 2020. Oh, I can't wait. Dan will meet
feed my mouth.
Men will feed Dan's mouth there. Dan will meet a beautiful geisha girl in Kyoto and never return. Never return.
Well, hopefully I'll still be working at TSN by then because a couple of big lotteries coming up. I bought some tickets for, so one's $60 million, one's $40 million.
But I did love what you said yesterday because producer Tim also bought tickets to those lotteries, and he said, I'd be out of here like the second I won. And you said
I would show up until I got annoyed,
which we figured was like maybe a day, maybe two.
No, I would show up and just be half-assing, and I'd be showing up like half hour before the show. And then until someone finally said, okay, you got to go.
You got to leave. So that would be a week.
He drinks at lunchtime.
Yeah, you would for sure show up totally baked and high.
I'd hire a car service to drive me in, so have a little cocktail cart in the car.
That would be amazing. That would be the greatest week of television ever. Oh, that would be so fun. Just calling out players you don't like in the highlights.
I'd be like Kent Brockman when he had like the gold chalice after he...
Exactly.
And then he put a list of people that he didn't like up on screen.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. John Gibbons managed his last game with the Jays yesterday, and he allowed Russell Martin to manage the game. And I said, for your last TV show that we did, you would just call out all the people that wronged you in just an expletive-filled tirade. And I would just be like clapping like a little monkey next to you. Like, yes.
And then I was thinking about that. I wouldn't even have a list right now because we are so separated from everyone here at TSN, and we've got a great crew.
Yeah. I barely know who works here anymore now. Other than Christoph and then our crew on the show, we don't see anybody.
That's right.
We have our own studio kind of on the other side of the lot.
We're literally across the parking lot.
Yeah, from everybody at Sports Centers. So, yeah, I don't see... I can't remember the last time I saw, say... Laura Dykin or Nabil. I haven't seen Nabil forever.
Last time I saw Nabil, I bored his belt. I still have it.
That's odd. Yeah. Did you exchange in the restroom?
No, he had an extra belt.
It has changed my life.
I still got to order up one of those My Pillows. G-Bone, one of our producers on the show, just swears by it.
Well, he just got a new pillow top mattress, too, so G-Bone's sleeping soundly.
Okay, here's speaking of beds. I saw one of those commercials where, the beds, you can get them at Sleep Country, and it's like remote control, and you can sit up in it and stuff.
Right.
I've now reached the age where I'm like, I think I want one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
You should get one. I'd love to know. And then you would have to do a bunch of Instagram stories. Just, you adjusting the bed to the right,
Because you can put your legs up, and then you can.
Yeah.
I would
Could
never
you
have
sleep
to use,
like that, though?
Yeah, I'd never have to use my body. I'm like, time to get up.
Yeah. Well, I'm 1,000% in favor of that idea.
And then I just need to jerry rig something that would push me out of bed.
How
like
can
a
we
lever.
get that bed company to sponsor our show, and then we could do the chat in the side seats in the bed, right? And then when the chat was over,
here's the thing. So if I do win the lottery, I will get my driver to take me in the bed to work. We wheel that into the studio.
I like that idea. That's the ultimate in laziness. I can't believe it's October, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, this is exciting because you know what October means?
Baseball.
And?
Basketball.
And?
Ben Teller.
Ben Teller. He's back, baby.
Nope. Nope, this is incorrect.
What an entrance.
What
I
an
love
entrance.
The song.
Nope.
Can we put
October.
that song on one more time?
Nope.
Let's hear it again, Stoff. One more time. Ben Teller.
Nope. October 29th was the official day.
Well, we just heard October, so we figured, it's been far too long. And this guy's been in Thailand, and you're leaving back to Thailand tomorrow, Ben?
Tomorrow morning, back for another month.
Jeez, what are you doing down there?
Oh, I wonder.
Come on, Dan. No, I got a new job, right? Working for ClassPass, so I'm
Okay, well,
working
let's
out
stop.
of
What is that?
Yeah.
Tell us what it is.
So it's like a fitness aggregator app. So it's like Priceline and Expedia for boutique fitness.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wish I'd come up with that idea. How did you get that job? That's fascinating.
Yeah, while I was unemployed between my last two jobs, was at a Starbucks every day and just kind of applied and went for it. Moved out there July 23rd and been traveling since. It's been a lot of fun.
You've been on the road more than you've been in your new home of New York City.
Yeah, so for the 9 weeks since I've got the job, I spent 4 in New York, 3 in Thailand, 1 in Jacksonville, and 1 in Montana.
You're living the life, my friend, and I guess the question that all our listeners want to know is, how's the ladies' situation, especially down in Bangkok? What's happening down there in Bangkok?
Dan, are you even there?
Oh, I'm here.
Are you? Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Missed you.
Did
No. It's,
first off, can you get your new job to provide you with a better phone?
Can you not hear me?
Yeah,
It sounds like you're
fine.
speaking through a rug.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's actually worse, but it's fine. It's fine. We can hear you loud and clear. Where are you, by the way? Are you in
What about now?
NYC?
What was that?
Where are you right now? You're in NYC getting packed up for the next trip?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh.
At least I wanted to fly round trip.
And now we can
from
hear you
LA.
great.
Yeah, it's about 5.5 hours shorter from Los Angeles.
Right.
And I wanted to see my folks for a couple of days before I go back out.
Maybe catch up with some of the ladies that you were acquainted with before? Or?
Guys, every girl in Los Angeles, I don't even talk to them. I don't even know who they are, what they did. New York, Thailand, Montana is where my head's at these days.
Wow, look at you. Things have changed. So give us some of the deets.
Okay, so in the 5 weeks I was in New York, I went on one date every week. 5 different girls, wide range, like some 22-year-olds, and then some 33-year-olds, and then some 29-year-olds, and I don't know. One, it was a lot of fun. 2, a little expensive, but 3, I feel like I'm really figuring out what I like. Like this really cute 34-year-old, she was smaller. Her parents have a house on the Upper West Side and a house in the Hamptons, and I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
lock in on that,
enough.
buddy.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be a good one. I went out with a 23-year-old who was talking about Instagram for an hour, so I bought her a drink and then left.
Ooh.
Yeah, just walked out of the bar. That was a fun one. I met a girl, was really great. She kept talking about her dog. She then texted me right after and saying, I don't think this is going to work out. And I said, okay. What else?
What about Thailand?
I went. Oh yeah, I did actually go on a date in Thailand.
With a Thai woman?
Yeah, she was 25.
Oh.
She was a studio manager of one of the studios that I was working with. Okay, a little weird.
Why? What happened? Did she take you to a massage parlor?
No, I go to those on my own.
Good for you.
I don't know. It just didn't work out. Maybe it was a language barrier.
Could she speak English?
Yeah, but it's so funny. So, she learned English in an international school, but she learned it from someone who was British and Australian. So she speaks an Australian accent and a British accent and doesn't know that she's doing it. So it's very weird, right? Could you imagine looking at someone, watching them talk, and then she's with a British accent out of their language?
Let's get to the important thing. Did you do her?
No sex, guys. Guys, I haven't had sex in a very long time.
Can we get back
no
to your...
sex in a very long time. What?
Can we get back to your phone? Are you walking? Are you resting it on your shoulder?
I think it sounds great.
No, it's cutting in and out.
It was cutting in and out a bit.
It's like in Thailand, New York.
What about now?
Good. Just stand still and don't move the phone. Thank you.
I really feel like, guys, can you guys tell me what you've been doing? I have no idea.
We've missed you so much, buddy, and so many of the listeners have been waiting for this moment for many, many months. Dan,
I don't know. I think if we took a poll, it might tell you different.
we will take a poll. Can we do that
let's
stuff?
take a poll. Yeah. Can we do that?
We'll
How
do
many people miss Ben?
Yes, on the pod. How many people missed Ben? Ben
Okay,
is back
and-
on the pod. How many people missed him?
And what do we do with the results?
If it's more than 50%, I get to come back once a month for the next 4 months.
Oh,
Wow.
It will not be.
If it's less than 50%, I'll come on every other month.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that's fair.
No.
Why isn't that fair? That's very fair.
All right, well, guys, can I just get to the would you rather?
Yes, absolutely. Because you got to pack, you got to get ready to go to Thailand. Sure. Wait, how long are you going to Thailand for?
29 days.
Jesus, you're practically living down there. What's
Yeah,
the?
I live in the Well Hotel.
Is that is that for rub and tugs or?
Yeah, it's right next to Dream Massage, which is fantastic. If you need to go and check it out.
It's time for Would You Rather.
Dream massage, amazing,
Yeah,
buddy.
no, highly recommend Boom. She's super sweet, really nice. Anyways, okay, so in light of Thailand and Ladyboys, I feel like this is a perfect would you rather.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Would you rather be hooking up with a woman?
Mm-hmm.
She's doing a little bit of oral sex. So you're like, you know what? I should return the favor, and you find out she has a penis.
Okay.
Or would you rather make out with a smoking hot chick at a party? You both are drunk, you're having a good time, but you find out the next morning she was your cousin.
Ooh. Yeah.
You're obsessed with sexual relations with relatives. Obsessed. To a point where you should seek counseling.
Guys, I love my family. I'm sure you love your family, Dan.
Oh, yeah, Dan, you love your family? Dan, you didn't answer. Which
I
one?
refuse to answer these questions that involve relations with relatives. I've said this a million times, and this is why.
Look, Dan, I feel like I did a good thing here, right? I didn't answer annoying. When we called, I was really calm.
Yeah.
But I came back with the would you rather. I feel like this is a good middle ground. Let's put the poll up, see what the users want.
We'll get
Jay.
Danny. We'll get Danny to put the poll up on
Love
Jay
it.
and Dan.
Okay.
On Twitter, and then we'll let the people speak.
All right. So can we go over the rules one more time? More than 50%, once a month.
Once a
less
month.
Than 50%,
No.
Less than 50% every other month.
Zero.
That's totally fair.
No, zero.
No, every other month. Every other month. I'm with Ben on this one. Staff, who are you with here?
Yeah, I'm with Ben.
Yeah,
Let's give him a
Staff's with
shot.
Ben. So
So people don't like you, and you still appear. That makes no sense. That makes zero sense.
Jay and I have this mutual relationship with each other where we want to talk, but we'll push it back a month for you. But otherwise, we just got to sacrifice you.
I mean, I think Dan wants to talk to you, but just maybe every other month.
Just send me an email. That's all I need. Send me an email. I'll take a peek. I'll say, oh, Ben's still alive. That's good.
Dan, what if when I get back from Thailand, I feel like I'll need a vacation? I was thinking about, no, seriously, end of November, maybe I'll come to Toronto. Hang out with the boys.
Love it.
Good. I don't live in Toronto, so you'll enjoy the city. Go to the CN Tower.
We'll talk about that, Ben. I love this idea. Safe travels to Thailand, and be safe, okay, my friend?
Thank you so much for having me. Jay, Dan, I love you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Have fun at Dream Massage. We move on to our next guest, who we are very thrilled to have on. He is a TSN hockey insider and a good friend. It is Brooklyn's own Darren Dreger. Dregs, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, boys.
Listen
how are
to
you?
that audio quality. Boom! Out of the gate.
Out of the gate, beautiful audio quality. Our last guest, Dregs, the audio quality was questionable.
No, there was more than just the audio quality that was questionable about your last guest. Who's kidding who?
Yes. Thank you, Darren Dreger. That's why I always like Dregs.
Well, Dregs, here we are. Is this the most exciting week of the year for you professionally?
No. In fact, the July 1st week is the most exciting week because I'm often on holidays by July 5th.
Yeah.
And I'm quite excited about that normally. But no, this is a good one. We are weary of, talking about what might happen with this team and that team and all the speculation and expectation and all of that. So it's fun to look at the meaningful side of the game, which starts this week with the regular season.
Dregs, guide us through your summer break. Do you have personal rules you put in place where you're like, I'm not discussing hockey, I'm not reading about hockey, I'm not phoning anyone, I'm not going on social media? What do you do?
No, I don't really, and I think I did when my kids were younger, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that they want to do with you and you want to do with them. But now that I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, it doesn't apply because they don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. No, I was very selfish. I traveled. We traveled. I played a fair bit of golf. I laid by the pool, and I did a lot of nothing, frankly, this summer, and it was glorious, every moment of it.
So with your kids being that age, does that mean you don't put the rink in the backyard in the winter now?
No, well, we did last year, but it wasn't the backyard rink. Now we've graduated to a pond, Dan.
Oh, boy.
I mean, yeah, the rink was kind of nice. It was a little snooty. I had custom ice. Remember Dave Gagne, Sam Gagne's dad, who I think was the original member or founding father of custom ice. I was never that big of a deal. Gary Roberts had a big system in his backyard. Darcy Tucker at the time. I was one of the early ads into the custom ice sort of grouping, but I went small, and it only lasted about 3-4 years. Then we moved from that house and moved into this big palatial estate.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a bit of a shadow because Bob McKenzie lives on the other side of Brooklyn.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, his compound literally kind of, we all live in the darkness
right.
based on the property that he takes over.
Right.
But I do have the advantage in that I've got a pond that's in my backyard.
And Mother Nature does all the work for you.
Or a pond.
Well,
Pond
yeah,
would be good for you.
Normally, Mother Nature does good work, but last couple of years it's been tough. So I end up doing a lot of manual labor. My kids don't play on it anymore. And you know what really pisses me off? The neighbor kids don't even play on it anymore. So why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the point?
crazy.
Yeah, what is the point? Dregs, here's a question. How competitive are you still to this day? Like, I know you're friendly with guys who work at other outlets, and how can you not be? You see each other all the time. You see each other at games. Do you still get competitive about breaking news first, or does the fact that everybody seems to report things within seconds of each other sort of take a little bit of the edge off of that?
It does, for sure. I mean, social media spoiled it for me and Bob and Pierre and everybody that, Bob is, he's the Bob father, right? I mean, Bob pioneered the position of insider in the National Hockey League, no question about that. And back in that day, and when I came on to TSN at in 2006, there was no Twitter, there was no social media. So I mean, if we got in contact with any team in particular, and they happen to have a significant injury or something went down that day with that club, we were the first to break it, and we'd do it on tsn.ca, or we'd do it on radio, or we'd do it on SportsCenter. Now, the quality of the beat writer that has always been there is finally being recognized, because all beat writers have access to the same information that we thought that we'd cornered back in the day. But in answer to your question, yeah, the juices still get flowing, no question about that. I'm still very, very competitive, and I'll admit that even when and we all judge to a degree. But I'll be trolling through Twitter and I'll see, this guy's got something, and I kind of roll my eyes. Like, I mean, man, you're painting this like it's a big deal.
Right.
It's not a big deal. But we all do it. So yeah, the competitive juice still flows.
Dregs, on a typical day during the NHL season, how many emails, texts, phone calls would you make to your contacts, to NHL teams? Is it consistent every day, or are there lulls?
You know what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are consistently busy because in the throes of the regular season, we have insider trading on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And
which we love. We love insider trading.
Well, and that's where Bob and I and Pierre obviously dig as deep as we can to, if not break news, at least, provide some insight into some of the bigger stories, or take you into a corner that maybe otherwise you're not going to get to. And that's a difficult process. You start, on the weekends, and that leads into Monday. And look, I can tell you this firsthand because it happens all the time. If you don't have something that you think is interesting by Tuesday morning, you're in a sweat. You're in a panic. Maybe Bob doesn't get that way anymore, but I know I do. Because you want to bring something that's unique to that segment, and not just kind of dive into the same old storyline that has been maybe talked about for the last several days. So yeah, I mean, those days in particular, we're grinding it out, and you're throwing lines sometimes in the same water, but you're digging for anything that's going to be at least measured by newness, or something that might be interesting to a pretty broad audience.
So let's get into some of the Canadian teams, and we try to not do this. We try to be balanced, but I'm only going to start with the Leafs for one reason, because you and I texted last week, and I asked you a question about William Nylander's contract, and I said, why aren't other teams offer sheeting this guy?
Yeah.
And you have since said, and not just to me, but on Insider Trading, that you feel that Mitch Marner is more likely to be an offer sheet target, which makes perfect sense to me. But I guess my general question is, why aren't there more offer sheets out there? Why, it's practically collusion. Don't teams want to improve their teams?
Well, you would think that would be the case. I mean, positionally, it's usually motivated, and it's normally, if you're going to offer sheet, like a centerman who doesn't appear to be can't miss. He's just one of those guys that is special. Likewise for a defenseman, maybe on occasion a goalie, but there is that. Not collusion, but, general managers don't really want to piss each other off, because payback can be a problem moving forward. And look, you also have to make sure that when you're offer sheeting a player, that the team maybe doesn't want to match, or most definitely wants to match, but can't. I mean, they have to be in such a state of cap hell that the offer sheet is going to have some teeth. Otherwise, again, as I said, you're just upsetting somebody who may be not only a colleague, but might help you down the road. But now you're turning into a bitter rival. But that's why, for me, the Toronto Maple Leafs are a little bit unique in that world. Number one, Kyle Dubas is respected. Every general manager in the NHL is respected, but he's as green as grass. He doesn't have the same relationships that, most of the existing general managers would have with one another. And everybody looks at the Toronto Maple Leafs and can clearly see that they're okay this year with cap space. They've got an abundance of it. Next year, once you've signed Matthews, Nylander will be on the books by then. I've said this repeatedly. I do think that Marner is going to be the last to sign, and he appears to be prolific. So if in fact he maintains that pace of play this season, I think that Toronto is definitely in the crosshairs.
I was born and raised in Peterborough, so I've known Leafs fans all my life. I have never seen Leafs Nation as wired as they are going into a season, or am I reading this wrong? Because it is at a fever pitch during the preseason.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's fun to be a part of it from the outside looking in. Because, Toronto went through a state where things were pretty bad for a while too, right? And, the hiring of Babcock made a difference. Bringing in Brendan Shanahan to some degree made a difference. Lou Lamoriello stabilizing, all of those things. But let's not lose sight of the most important piece of this turnaround and transformation of the Toronto Maple Leafs into a legit Stanley Cup contender. They won the lottery. And the lottery is Austin Matthews. If Austin Matthews isn't in Toronto, neither is John Tavares. He's going somewhere else, or he's staying with the New York Islanders. I mean, in Austin Matthews, there's hope. And with that hope comes the reality of players wanting to play in Toronto because they look at Toronto as not just being a one-off. And Babcock put it very appropriately a few weeks ago, when he said the pieces are there to go on a good run. And that's not just winning a Stanley Cup or challenging for a Stanley Cup. That's challenging for multi-Stanley Cups. And that's why the pieces, like John Tavares, are buying in. They got lucky in winning the lottery. So in saying all that, I can understand why the fan base is as jazzed up as they should be.
Edmonton got lucky too, over and over and over again, and so last year it really didn't work out. It was pretty rough. Any indication from a pretty good preseason by that team that maybe that was just a blip, a bump in the road?
Well, look, I mean, they're getting production off the wing, which they did not get at any point really last season. You're looking at Ty Ratty, who, a number of people have asked me via Twitter or other means, is there a sleeper in the pool? I'm like, take Ty Ratty. I don't care what round it is. Not really a sleeper if you're playing with Connor McDavid, and who knows how long he'll be there. But he proved, at least in a short window in the preseason, that, he can put the puck in the net. Likewise with Yamamoto, who's a young guy who's just cutting his NHL teeth. If those players can be as good in the regular season as they appeared to be in the preseason, then I do think that Connor McDavid is going to have some help. And then beyond that, they still have questions on the back end, an injury to Sekera, some other aspects of that blue line that, are a little bit sketchy. And then ultimately, you wonder about the goaltending of Cam Talbot. I like Cam Talbot. I didn't like him last year. How could you? He wasn't good enough. But I think that he's at least in a position to have a bounce-back year. So I'm going to take the position of the optimist here and hope, for Edmonton's sake, that all the things that I've just talked about actually happen, because the league is better. Our jobs are easier when teams like Toronto are successful, Edmonton is successful, and you see the work that some of the other Canadians have been putting in is realized, and it transfers into results.
And all the buzz was about the Oilers last year, and then they stumble out of the gate. You'll never fly under the radar with Connor McDavid on your team, but they are kind of flying under the radar right now.
And that's fine. We had to do projections for the playoff teams, the Eastern Conference finalists, the Western Conference finalists, all of that. And I had Edmonton making the playoffs. I think I had them as a wild card team in the Western Conference. But that would be okay, wouldn't it? I mean, all you got to do is qualify. Once you qualify, then
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And when you've got the talent level of Connor McDavid, assuming that the Oilers are as good as I'm giving them credit for, then you never know. They might do it.
The Winnipeg Jets are definitely as good as you give them credit for, and Kevin Cheveldayoff might be sneakily the best GM in the National Hockey League, just by virtue, Dregs, of the deals he was able to put together this summer to lock up guys long-term and keep this core together. This is essentially the same team that we saw last year go deep into the postseason.
Yeah, and look, he's got some heavy lifting ahead with, Patrick Laine right at the top of the list. We talk about Marner, we talk about Matthews. Obviously, we're talking about Nylander because he's an RFA. But Patrick Laine is going to have to get a deal at some point this season, and he will. And it's going to be a a big number, but Cheveldayoff had no time off this summer because of everything that you just said, Jay. I mean, he had to deal with Connor Hellebuck early. Blake Wheeler, I don't think it's fair to call him underrated because I think we can all appreciate what Blake Wheeler brings on and off the ice in Winnipeg. But to me, that was a crucial signing to get that done. Now you look at some of the other areas that he's going to have to address. Josh Morrissey signed on a short bridge deal, but the saga that is Jacob Trouba or Tyler Myers, two guys going in the final year of their deals, I mean, that's going to rear the ugly head at some point, hopefully towards the end of the season. And I just don't see Winnipeg being able to keep both those guys. We used to talk about David Poile of the Nashville Predators being perhaps the most conservative NHL general manager, methodically go through his business, wouldn't make trades unless he felt like they were can't miss. Well, in the last few years, I mean, Poile has added this guy, and he's signed that guy, and he's traded for Kyle Turris, and he's done all of these big things, multiple trades. Now that title of uber conservative belongs to Cheveldayoff. He is a very, very cerebral general manager, but he's got real good support from his owners there. So I like the path that the Winnipeg Jets are on.
Okay, so I'm going to safely assume you have the Jets going to the playoffs too. So you have the
Yep.
Leafs, the Jets,
Yep.
and the Oilers. Now let's go into the fringes of our Canadian teams. Why don't we go out to Vancouver because I don't see the postseason in their future.
No, in fact, I have Calgary finishing ahead of Edmonton in the West.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Brad Treliving did some interesting things this year. The trade with the Carolina Hurricanes, bringing Noah Hannafin in and Lindholm, I like both those players. I think they're going to make the Calgary Flames that much better. Is goaltending going to be as good as it needs to be? Again, let's play the role of the optimist and assume that it is. And if it is, then I think Calgary's going to be a very good team. Vancouver, for me, is in a position to take a step backwards, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, they've got to feel some of that pain. They've got some good young developing players.
And they have to form their own identity now. There's no Sedins for the first time.
And they might have the Rookie of the Year in Pettersson, too.
Yeah, they could. I mean, there's some real, big pieces on the younger side in Vancouver, but I'm just not sure where all their goals are going to come from beyond what they've got, again, in their inexperienced players like Horvat, Brock Besser, Pettersson. I mean, go down the list of those players. I don't know that they've done enough to add some veteran depth and balance to make things okay. I think they'll be competitive, but Vancouver's going to be bottom third of the league for sure.
Travis Green looked very sad after the preseason. Yeah. He just looked sad. I know. He looked like, whoa, my God, this is going to be a long year for me.
Well, in fact, I saw an interview he did the other day, and I thought it was like I was watching it on SD instead of HD. I'm like he can't look like that. What is going on? It's just sleep deprived and worry. I mean, it takes an emotional toll, and it's the preseason. Let's have a look at the poor man at the midway point of the year.
Let's jump back to Calgary. Maybe I missed it over the summer, but we still have nothing in place for a new arena, right?
No, but that. Look, I mean, how many times have we heard Commissioner Bettman talk about Calgary's need for an arena? So, at some point they're going to continue to push the buttons. I don't buy any of this stuff.
It survived 2 floods.
I know, and I don't buy any of the crap that Calgary is going anywhere. That threat that the team is leaving and ownership may sell if they don't get a deal. Come on.
It's a joke. It's not going to
political
happen.
posturing from both sides now, and both sides are being unreasonable, and they have for a long time. I mean, the fact that we haven't talked about it is probably a good thing.
That's true,
because maybe they're all getting a good dose of common sense, and they will find a deal.
Let's go back out east. Montreal was intriguing because I felt like as we went into the preseason, it was a lot of doom and gloom. Yeah. And with Kotkaniemi and with Shea Weber being named the captain today and Carey Price looking pretty healthy, and I'm not saying they're going to make the postseason, but it seems like maybe, just maybe, they won't be as bad as we thought they would be.
Yeah, fair assessment. I mean, that's my read on it as well. And, I haven't covered any of the training camp or preseason of the Montreal Canadiens in person, from afar, and I talk to enough people in Montreal that I trust and believe, there is a freshness. And Marc Bergevin has been really reluctant to name anything associated with what they're doing as a rebuild, but he has used the term reset and refresh, and I think that's appropriate. I'm a Max Pacioretty fan. I think he's a hell of a hockey player. I think he's going to do great things with the Vegas Golden Knights, but I also believe and know it was time for him to move on. Whatever that dark cloud was, whether he owned a piece of it or not, it feels like it's gone, and there's a freshness around that dressing room and around this organization that maybe we haven't felt or sensed for the last few seasons. Now,
because Brian Mudryk's calling the games.
Well, and that's a big part of it for sure. I mean, I saw him do an Instagram post last week from Montreal, and he was bragging about his trek to the gym. But while he was going to the gym, he stopped at the liquor store so he could buy himself a bottle of wine. And then he picked it up afterwards, and it was one of those cheesy huffing and puffing while you're in the gym. hey guys, just so you know, I didn't drink the wine before the workout, but I'm going to drink it now.
Maybe.
So I mean, he's going to fit in beautifully in that environment in Montreal. But no, look, I mean, so many things have gone poorly in Montreal. No different than any of the Canadian cities. The league is healthier when the Canadian teams are competitive and doing well. I see them as a non-playoff team, but I don't think that they're going to be as bad as maybe others think.
And we saved the best for last.
We did, Dregs.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is one thing we noticed about Ottawa. When Zach Smith was put on waivers, I like to call it pre-Zach Smith, post-Zach Smith. Before Zach Smith, Matt Duchene, we've talked about it. He's from Halliburton. He loves that he can get home quick. I'm thinking, you know what? He might stick around. He might stay. He just likes living there. Same with Stone, seemed to like it. And then that Zach Smith thing happened, and Duchene could not have been more blunt about how pissed off he was about that. Same with Stone. And then suddenly you're like, geez, maybe these guys are going to leave too, and it's going to be a complete teardown.
And Duchene saying that in today's day and age where players say nothing, that was what made it even more alarming.
Yeah. Well, look, both those guys are quality human beings, right? And so they're going to do what's right for the younger player, because it's time to pay back a little bit. Matt Duchene had a decent quality mentor group around him in Colorado. Then things went sideways. Mark Stone has talked about Zach Smith being that guy or one of those guys for him, developing within that Ottawa Senators organization. So they're willing to pay back. No question about that. But they're also keen business guys, right? And they know that, if they play well and they put up the numbers, then they're going to control, whatever their options are. Neither one of those guys, because of who they are going to come out at any point in the next few months, certainly not before several weeks leading up to the trade deadline, to say, yeah, I'm going to free agency. No, I'm not signing here. They're not going to do that. They're not going to be disrespectful. They're both represented by quality big power agents. So they'll let those guys earn their money. I got a hard time believing that both are going to stay in Ottawa. And I don't know. Even though, Mark Stone says all the right things, and I'm not questioning him here, but he is so highly thought of around the league. When you've earned the right to go to unrestricted free agency, why wouldn't you test the market?
Yeah, agree.
Why wouldn't you?
I agree.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you just throw away, another 2-3 years of your career? Because that's what's honestly it's going to take for the Ottawa Senators to develop back into a contending team. And based on everything, I'm okay with Pierre Dorion. I think he works in a real tough environment. I think that because of the environment he works in, he's done good things. But if I'm a pending unrestricted free agent, man, I'm looking at what the market has to offer. I may not jump at the biggest dollar, but I might do what John Tavares did. Play it to the hilt. Recognize where your best fit is, where you can win, make some money, long-time security. There's nothing wrong with that.
And be the prom king for a little while and let everybody come around and, ruffle your feathers a little bit. Why not?
Sure.
You only get a chance to have it done once, so maybe twice.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, there are teams out there that are going to make it really tough on the Ottawa Senators leading up to that trade deadline. Tough in the sense that, they're going to say, look, you made a mistake with Erik Karlsson. You should have traded him at the trade deadline because, going into the final year of his contract, you could have had him for 2 playoff runs. Well, you don't have that luxury with Duchesne or with Mark Stone, but get something rather than nothing if both those players walk out.
Throw the Sens fans a bone. Sell some Sens tickets. Why would you want to go to a Sens game this year? There's got to be a reason.
Well, they might get the first overall pick. Oh, Dregs.
No,
oh God.
Can't do that.
Oh,
no,
Jack Hughes.
Yeah, you just ripped the Band-Aid off.
God.
I'll tell you what, Dan. I do a lot of Ottawa games, and I've done a few of them in the preseason. The last 2 games the Sens played, now they played one last Thursday against Chicago, beat the Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago. The Hawks aren't very good. Patrick Kane wasn't playing in that game. So, I mean, you have to temper it a little bit. I liked Ottawa in that game, and I liked him a lot in the game Saturday against Montreal. Brady Tkachuk, for me, is worth the price of admission. This kid is going to do something interesting every single night, if not every single shift. It's either going to be a chance that he helps create, as he did, in setting up Matt Duchesne against Montreal, or just the stuff that he does in front of the net, how he gets under people's skin. I mean, he is just fun to watch, and I think he's going to, even though he's a teenager, he's going to drag a lot of guys, as Dave Poulin described in that game against the Blackhawks. Brady Tkachuk is going to drag a lot of guys to the party who are playing with him or watching him play. So if you've got Brady Tkachuk going, you've got Thomas Chabot on the back end who looks like he's going to be real good. Formanton is an absolute rocket on that wing. He looks like he's going to stick. And then you add Duchesne and you add Stone and you get quality goaltending. I think Ottawa can keep it competitive, and that's all the fan base should ask for.
You mentioned Chicago. I'll throw this one out of left field because I haven't heard anything. Corey Crawford, is he going to play this year? He's been medically cleared to play, but it was his first time on the ice since like February, I think.
I mean, everyone's hopeful, including Corey Crawford. And I think I saw on Twitter today that they're wondering if maybe he needs to spend a little bit of conditioning time in the American League, just to kind of get him back facing pucks and get his timing back and all those things. Everybody is saying the right things, but I can tell you there was a point last season where many, including those very close to the Chicago Blackhawks, were questioning whether or not he was ever going to be able to come back again. So until, as I say, or as some say, you see the whites of his eyes in the crease in the Chicago Blackhawks regular season, then I'm not so sure, but everything's trending towards him coming back. So, again, let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Final question for you, Dregs. Gritty, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a joke initially. I thought, what the hell is going on in Philadelphia? They can't be that desperate to pull a PR stunt like this.
But they've hit a home run. He's everywhere.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, he's everywhere.
It's worked.
So, but let me ask you guys, do you honestly think that they had planned it?
Yes.
Like the
Now I
reaction
do.
this way? You do?
Well,
see, I think this is just good dumb luck.
Yeah, it is kind of dumb luck.
Maybe it is because the designer of Gritty seems to indicate that he just thought he was just designing another cool mascot, and this was maybe you're right, maybe it was just dumb luck, but I do maintain that Hunter, the terrifying Lynx mascot that the Oilers introduced last year, was the opposite of dumb luck. That was just dumb.
It was just dumb. I try my best not to talk about mascots because again, Jay, you're up there, your family is growing, and the mascot thing matters.
Oh, for sure.
Dan, I don't know. Are your girls past that stage?
Oh, no, they still like they always know where the mascot is.
Yeah, see, my 17-year-old son, he'd rather rip the tongue out of Harvey the Hound if Harvey the Hound was still around. So it doesn't really matter to me anymore. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of get sucked into whatever that was of Gritty. And maybe it was just the reaction, and so I'm sort of starting to tip towards, all right, good on Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it, but, to get this much publicity out of something so stupid, I guess they deserve
Did
credit.
they retire Harvey the Hound in Calgary?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way, Craig McTee's got his tongue.
Well, you look back at that costume, and they spent about $100 on it.
I know. I mean, yeah, some old baba in Calgary sewed that thing together.
That's right.
But I tell
Mundair.
you, what we need to do at some point is you need to put the human identity to the mascot. So end of the year, there should be a split screen. Okay, here's the mascot Gritty. Here's who's inside Gritty.
No, you can't. You
Yeah.
can't pull
Oh,
it. You
yes,
can't pull
gotta
the
do
curtain
that.
back.
Let's see it.
Hey,
And-
I mean, Carlton the Bear, actually, and I'm not going to talk about this poor person. This individual created their own celebrity of being the human inside Carlton the Bear.
Right,
Really?
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
the
happens.
guy inside Gritty is for sure a meth head. So I just
Well, how
want
do you
him
know
to
it's
get
a guy?
clean. Oh yeah, or girl. I just know for sure that person needs to get clean and fast. Or other-
Maybe there are multiple humans inside Gritty. Maybe Gritty is like a 7-day-a-week job. There's no way you can't. It's like doing Jay and Dan show. Like you guys, you need time. You got to recharge the batteries. So Gritty's got to be like 5 different people.
It's very. I wish we had 5 other people that could just step in for us.
I wish we could. We're like, I remember the Dukes of Hazzard when they brought in Bo and Luke's cousins when they couldn't get
Vance and Coy.
they couldn't get the contract done with the real actors, so they brought in replacements.
See,
we need that.
James Duthie told me that you guys taped the majority of your shows in the first 2-3 days of the month.
Like The Price is Right.
Yeah, and then you come in for like 10 minutes to do the first segment, and then everything else doesn't matter.
God, we would so do that if we could.
We just
Oh,
give
man.
them lines. Okay, guys, put this at the end of that one. What a game!
You know what I loved? Going back to Dukes of Hazzard briefly, what I loved about them bringing in the cousins was that they had a blonde guy and a dark-haired guy, and they wore the same clothes as Bo and Luke.
They were hoping to confuse the viewers.
Oh, it was great.
See, I'm old enough. I love Daisy.
Oh, yeah, and the Daisy Dukes.
Duke was my favorite.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
so much anymore. If you want to Google image Daisy.
Hasn't aged well.
Well, neither have I. Who's kidding who? But, I mean, a little sketchy.
I love it. Dregs, this has been awesome. Thanks for taking a little time with us. Enjoy the opening week of the NHL season. I know it's going to be a blast, and hopefully we can chat with you down the road.
All right, boys, as always, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dregs, and again, great quality on that phone call. Crystal clear.
Awesome.
I mean,
What a guy.
Seriously, that was good
Christoph,
quality.
so he has like a studio in his house or something, right? That's why it was so clear.
Yeah, he's a built-in connection
Look
in
at that.
Brooklyn, Ontario.
So how do we get Ben that? How do we get that to Ben?
We'll raise some funds, I'm sure. TSN will kick over some of that.
Well,
to
we'll see
Ben.
how the poll goes. And if it's an overwhelmingly in favor, then maybe we'll have to get Nick Caroli, the guy who sets up all these things.
Or maybe we'll just do it from Ben's house.
Based on the
Yeah.
feedback I always get, I already know the way it's going to go. And people always say, "What's your problem with Ben?" I'm like, "I'm fine with him. I just don't want to hear from him." That's all.
I can't wait. I'm so excited about this poll.
So,
it's going to be fun. What a fun pod.
So
That was a
Danny will
blast.
put that poll up on the Twitter machine.
Yes, on the tweets. So that's Danny, our social media. We should have Danny on the pod once, just so you guys can see the guy who does all these social media things for us.
He's listening right now.
He is.
Hey,
Yeah.
Danny.
Hi, Danny.
He's over in the other.
Danny. He's a good guy. Danny, he had some issues with his condo.
Yeah.
Yeah. He-
Burst pipe and stuff.
Yeah, and so he had to go sleep in the guest suite in the condo. But then people would come to stay in the guest suite. So then the condo would be like, yeah, you're gonna have to leave.
So.
Then he'd be homeless for a while. That's when he became
But
gritty.
luckily, it wasn't a pipe. It was a water pipe.
Yeah, can you imagine? Pipe burst?
Yeah. Move me out.
Yeah, get me out of that condo. So looking forward to monthly appearances from Ben and having Dregs was great. Great having Dregs on.
Yeah.
Love that guy. But that's it. That's the pod for the week.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.